What's up, everyone? Welcome to our Thursday night pregame show for week 10. It is crazy that we are already at week 10, but we are here. We are tired, but we are happy to be here. It's me, Tera Roberts, and I'm here with Adam Ronis, and we are taking your questions live this week in the Fantasy Alarm Discord, and we are previewing tonight's game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins. We've got a different starter at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, but we'll dive into that. We'll get to it. To kick things off, Adam, how are you doing?
Doing well. Like you said, it's so shocking that we are already in week 10. I mean, there's only a few weeks left of the fantasy regular season. Obviously, we have the extra week this year, but it flies by, and we're already here to kick off week 10.
Super excited. This game is going to be very interesting. We have the Ravens who are, obviously playing at a very high level right now. We've got the Dolphins who kind of aren't. So they're at little different ends of the spectrum, very different quarterback situations here. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. But we will dive into our thoughts in a little bit. As a reminder, guys, we are previewing tonight's game. And in addition to that, we are answering your questions live. Start set questions in the Fantasy Alarm and DFS Alarm Discord. If you have any DFS questions, you can ask them in there as well. But we are taking them there, so if you can go into there and put your questions into the live stream Q&A portion of the Discord, we'll be taking them from there. Just as a reminder, I'll remind you a couple of times, if you want to go ahead and get those in there so we can go ahead and get to them, that would be amazing. But before we kick off the show, Fantasy Alarm has teamed up with Yahoo Daily Fantasy this season to offer a whole new DFS experience. And for a limited amount of time, you guys can get a free $25 contest entry credit after your first deposit. All you got to do is use the promo code ALARM. And if that's not enough, how about we throw in our NFL DFS playbook for free? That's right. You get the award-winning NFL Pro Playbook package for free when you sign up and deposit with Yahoo Daily Fantasy. All you got to do is go to fantasyalarm.com/Yahoo. Use the promo code ALARM when you sign up and make a deposit. And then all you got to do is go to dfsalarm.com and then wait for the pop-up, and you will have it. You will have the NFL DFS Playbook Pro for free, all yours. It's amazing. It is very helpful. If you love playing DFS, this will be such a valuable tool for you. We all contribute to it. Fantastic. Adam provides fantastic content. We've got all the players that you want to do. We've got bargains. It's fantastic. So make sure that you log in and go get that. It's a great deal. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into the hot topics portion around the league because, quite frankly, it was a crazy day. And we do have a lot of hot topics specifically from today. Adam, I figured I would kick us off with the first thing that is obviously on everyone's mind, the hot topic of Odell Beckham Jr. heading to the Rams. First question, did you see that one coming? I personally, when he was released, I didn't think that the Rams would be the number one option in terms of a need for an actual wide receiver. So, are you surprised? What are your thoughts around this?
Yeah, I didn't see the Rams as a destination either. Am I surprised? A little bit, but not in a major way, only because this is what the Rams have been doing. They're really going for it now. They've been giving up draft picks. They recently brought in Von Miller. So they're all in on this season. So it's not too surprising. Was there a major need? No. I thought Van Jefferson was really starting to emerge as a third wide receiver. But I do think Beckham can still play. I mean, a lot of the passes that were thrown his way have been uncatchable. Just him and Baker Mayfield just did not have a good rapport. So is Beckham the player he was years ago? No, but I think he could still play. I think people are surprised because they're like, wait, how is Beckham going to be happy when Deshaun Jackson just left this team and asked to be let go because there were not enough targets or plays for him? But they do run a lot of 3 and 4 wide sets. So I think Beckham coming there hurts Van Jefferson, hurts Tyler Higbee. He certainly could still play. It's not the best destination if you were holding on to him in fantasy. I have him in a few leagues, so I would have preferred somewhere else. But he's going to be now in an offense that's a little bit more pass heavy compared to what he was in Cleveland. And Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback. So I think if you have Beckham, you just kind of hold on to see how this plays out. It sounds like he won't play this week. Then the Rams, I think, are on bye in week 11. So we probably won't see Beckham in a Rams uniform until week 12. And I believe they play the Packers that week.
Yeah, interesting, because I thought the Packers would have been an ideal location for him.
Yeah.
I've got it. One
No one wants
share,
to play with Aaron
unfortunately.
Rodgers.
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah,
preferred that too. I would have preferred that too. As someone who has Beckham, I would have preferred Green Bay for sure.
Yeah, stepping into a clear wide receiver, uncontested, in my opinion, wide receiver 2 situation. But yeah, and I've gotten a lot of questions today about how this affects, not only the Rams receivers, but then also I think people are worried about the running game as well, as far as if they're going to be throwing more, how this volume affects Darrell Henderson. Obviously, we've got Van Jefferson that's going to be affected. You mentioned Tyler Higbee. Does this affect Robert Woods at all in terms of consistency with him?
I don't think so. I mean, he's becoming more involved. They get him involved on the ground. I don't see Beckham coming in there and getting a huge target share. But Beckham, I think, can still get open, and Stafford's going to look for the open guy. So maybe you downgrade Woods slightly, but I wouldn't be worried about it because, again, I think the targets are going to come from Van Jefferson and from Higbee.
Yeah. And Van Jefferson had been getting quite a few. I mean, he was on the field upwards of, I think upwards of 80, easily, possibly 90% of snaps, seeing 6 to 7 targets. So it's there. The opportunity is there for Beckham. It's not what we had hoped, but it's there.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he'll get some targets for sure. Because I think he can still get open. He can still play. And on Cleveland, he was really a top guy. I mean, you had Jarvis Landry there too, but you got to worry about Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods in that run game. So Beckham's probably not going to get like the top cover guys either.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And then moving on to the next one, we've also got someone, I guess you can't say changing teams since he technically was not with a team before this, but we've got Cam Newton going home. Cam Newton to Carolina. Obviously, he's not going to play this week. We're going to get PJ Walker. A little bit of downgrade. And, well, I don't know. Is that technically a downgrade from Sam Darnold?
With the way Darnold was playing, probably not, right? It can't really get much worse. I know we saw Walker for a brief period and he didn't play well, but you just hope that a full week of practice, maybe it could be a little bit better because Walker, that time he appeared in the game, came in relief. So you just hope that what you hope is DJ Moore gets the football. I don't think anyone's playing Robbie Anderson at this point. He was probably cut in many leagues, so that doesn't matter. Really, DJ Moore is the guy that needs the targets. McCaffrey obviously is going to get his touches and he'll catch the football. I think, Cam Newton checks down a lot to the running backs and you still have questions about his shoulder. So it's going to be good for McCaffrey, you would think. DJ Moore still remains to be seen. But I mean, look, Cam Newton is not what he once was. People in Superflex leagues will probably add him, but how much is he going to run? So I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. But probably for McCaffrey, it'll help because Cam will check down to him quite a bit. And I think, again, you have DJ Moore, you cross your fingers and hope that it helps because Moore has still been okay in PPR the last few weeks. Last week was, his worst game. It was like 3 for 30. But we did see him get 9 to 12 points. It's not what you want, especially with the start to the year. But we know DJ Moore is a hell of a wide receiver. You just got to hope maybe that Walker can get him the ball this week and maybe Cam Newton at least can get him the football.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion. Not much value unless we're in Superflex and you're needing a QB2 to lean on or possibly someone to fill in for a bye week. But other than that, not a ton of usable assets down there in Carolina. Moving on to the next topic, we've got the Browns. We got the Browns in COVID. Unfortunately, we're still waiting to hear because technically Nick Chubb can still, test negative a couple of times and be able to play on Sunday. But we've got a very depleted running back room for right now that might end up just being Ernest Johnson. How are you feeling? From my perspective, it's still a reality that Chubb can be able to play, but I'm not planning for it. So in my opinion, I'm planning to play Ernest Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't looked this up in detail. I don't recall any player this year that tested positive for COVID early in the week playing on Sunday. They have all sat out. So I would not expect Nick Chubb to play. It sounds like it takes like 10 days to get out of your system. So I think when do we get the Nick Chubb news? Monday or Tuesday? So I would not expect him to play. So Ernest Johnson, I'm firing him up. He had that huge game against Denver in week 7 on a Thursday night. Had 2 receptions for 22 yards in that game too. In Denver, was struggling a little bit at that point, but they have been a pretty good defense this year. And New England might focus on the run game, but they're 17th in run defense DVOA. So I think you have Dearness Johnson. You're playing him. I know. I think we did the live stream that night, right? I think that was one of the weeks we were together.
Yes, it was.
No,
yes.
Wait, we did last week. No, I think I was out that night. Maybe
It might have been the first. Yeah.
Maybe because I was out for like 2 weeks. We did last week together. That was week 9. So I think 8 and 7. So maybe that week I was not here. But I had Dearness Johnson the week before he went for big money because I had seen that Nick Chubb was banged up. We knew Hunt was out. So that Friday night, the week before, I picked him up for cheap. So I had him in almost every league that week. And I held on to him in most leagues, but there were a couple leagues I had to drop him because of 6 bench spots, and I didn't have the room. One of them I was able to get him back. The other one I was not, and it was a 14-team league where I have Nick Chubb. So I'm sure he was picked up off the waiver wire this week with that Nick Chubb news. Maybe in some less competitive leagues he still could be out there. I doubt it. But, yeah, I mean, if you have him, you're going to play him because the volume. Even though maybe he doesn't have the game he had against Denver, you figure he's going to get 18 to 22 touches. So he's in play this week for sure. No doubt about it if Nick Chubb is out.
Yeah, for sure. And then, we've got another running back situation in terms of an injury that I did want to point out because it's not I usually don't call out IR injuries because they happen all the time, unfortunately. But because of the way that James Conner performed last Sunday, I did want to call it out because I know a ton of questions are coming in about James Conner, not around start sit, but around what do you do with him? We've got Chase Edmonds that's down and James Conner stepping in. We've got Eno Benjamin that can play as well. I think he saw 9 carries last week, but it's assumed that James Conner is going to get the heavy bulk of the workload. And at this point, his value is insanely high. So, a ton of trade questions flying around about James Conner. So I just wanted to talk about that and touch on that from that perspective to get your opinion. Adam, what are you doing with James Conner? Is this somebody that you're holding on to and you're writing it out, or are you looking to sell high on him?
I mean, it all depends on what you can get back, but I mean, he's in a great spot the next 2 weeks. They haven't had their bye. They go on bye in week 12. So you would figure at least the next 2 weeks, Connor's going to get big workloads. And I think one of the questions is, can his body withstand it? Because they've been very deliberate in the way they've utilized him this year, mostly as a goal line back. He seems to score touchdowns every week, so even when he was getting 6, 7, 8 carries. But last week, huge workload involved in the passing game, 2 catching passes. So, no, he's in a good spot the next 2 weeks. And even if Chase Edmonds is able to come back week 13, it sounds like it could be longer. I mean, this is a high ankle sprain. This could be 4 to 6 weeks. So you could have James Conner the rest of the fantasy season, carrying you in this Arizona offense. And he did it last week without Kyler Murray. Still don't know if Kyler Murray is going to play this week. I know he said that he felt better, but Arizona has no need to push him right now. They're playing Carolina with P.J. Walker. They're 8-1. If there's any question, they should just sit Kyler Murray. Same with DeAndre Hopkins. But either way, I mean, Conner got it done last week. So you'd have to be overwhelmed in a trade because say Chase Edmonds does come back week 13, we have still seen them use James Conner at the goal line, and he continues to score touchdown. And I hate that because it's hurt me. I had James Conner on the bench last week in the league. I barely played James Conner this year. For real, I'm just like, well, he gets 7 carries every week. I can't rely on a touchdown, and he scores. So it cost me a W. It's a doubleheader league, so I split. If I had played Conner, I would have won 2, so it hurts. He'll be in my lineup this week, and he'll probably do nothing. Just that's the way it goes. But no, Conner's a really good player right now. You have to be overwhelmed in a trade to deal him away. He looks like he's in a really good spot the rest of the way.
Yeah, for sure. And then, moving on to another topic, I don't know how much it's going to affect us, but it is, in general, a hot topic, so I did want to mention it, just touch on it a little bit. Dalvin Cook, the news around the issue with his ex. Unfortunately, I don't think fortunately, I don't think that that's going to have any immediate impact on the game. It sounds like he's going to be playing on Sunday. It sounds like this is not something that is really going to be affecting us anytime soon. So I've seen some trade questions around Dalvin Cook of people thinking, do they need to bail out right now? Questions around Alexander Madison. Are you doing anything right here? Or are you holding and just sticking it out?
I don't have Dalvin Cook. I don't have the answer because I have no idea. I mean, the legal issue could change any day. I have no idea. So it's your own discretion. You're worried. You think something could happen. Make a trade. if you have Dalvin Cook, hopefully you have Alexander Madison. I have Madison in one league, so I'm holding on. But right now, at least from what I know, no legal charges have been pressed. So again, these issues are so tough to know because it's the he said, she said thing now. We're seeing text and pictures and we have no idea.
Yeah. And then moving on to other injuries, I'll just run through some quickly. We've got Big Ben. We've got Chase Claypool, who probably is not going to play this week. We did have Najee Harris pop up with an injury as well. We got Jamal Williams that's not practicing. We've got Alvin Kamara, which might be one that we maybe want to touch on a little bit. Just unfortunately, we don't have a ton of information on it, but he's not practicing at all. The Saints tend to be a team that kind of doesn't release a lot of information when they get these little injuries that happen to key players. Have you heard anything on Alvin Kamara?
Yeah, their beat writer, Nick Underhill, tweeted out a couple hours ago that he is going to be doubtful. He doesn't think he'll play. They brought in a few running backs to work out this week. So if you have Kamara, I'd be expecting to be without him. So Mark Ingram obviously would be in a good spot this week. He would get a lot of volume. That Tennessee defense obviously has played a lot better lately. They're improved. So it could be a low-scoring game between these teams. But, yeah, Ingram, if he's out there, you got to pick him up because, you might be using him this week if Kamara's out.
Yeah, for sure. And then we've got Zack Moss as well, who's he did show up to practice. So it seems like it might be leaning towards he maybe will be able to play. I know a lot of people don't really utilize Zack Moss, but his absence was something that was going to make maybe Devin Singletary a little bit more usable. So again, monitor that situation. We've got the Patriots running backs as well. Neither one of them are practicing Ramondre Stevenson or Damian Harris. So I guess that maybe kind of makes it Brandon Bolden season. If they don't play, are you rolling out Brandon Bolden?
I guess you kind of have to. I did pick up J.J. Taylor in a deep league with 20 roster spots. I mean, I hope I don't have to use him, but just in case. Again, concussions are tricky because they could clear this protocol tomorrow, Saturday, because it feels like Zack Moss is headed in that direction. I have a feeling he's going to be cleared tomorrow. A little bit tougher. I did see someone, I forgot who it was. They said it sounds like Stevenson is more likely to play than Harris at this point, but who knows? Concussions are tricky. You could be fine for the first 3 days. Tomorrow, show up and have some symptoms. So, it's just something to pay attention to. But if Harris is out, Stevenson plays, obviously he'd be a really good player. We've started to see them involve him more in the offense. So, again, this is why you got to take your start-sit decisions up until the last minute. But I say it every week. We always find out on Wednesday when these guys show back up to the practice facility. We're like stunned, like that guy's hurt. That guy's hurt because they don't report it and the guys are away. And then Wednesday comes and that's when we start to learn about some of these injuries, unfortunately.
Exactly. And then another big grouping that we have is the Tampa Bay pass catchers. We've got Gronk, we've got Antonio Brown, and Chris Godwin. Does not look like Antonio Brown's going to play. Chris Godwin trending towards doubtful, maybe. A very interesting one. And then Gronk did show up to practice, but I don't think we've got a lot of details. I think he was off to the side working with trainers. But
I don't think Gronk plays. Bruce Arians said he should be good in 2 to 3 weeks. So I took him out of the rankings today. So I don't expect Gronk to play. Doesn't look good for Antonio Brown. Chris Godwin is tough because he didn't practice. I mean, they're coming off a bye and he's got a foot injury. He didn't practice yesterday or today. So Friday obviously is going to be key, but Tyler Johnson is the guy to go get if he's available. It's funny. I picked him up last night in the league, and I spent a decent amount of money on him. There were no backup bids. I was like, what? And then I saw him go cheap in some leagues. So, yeah, I mean, that's where you got to pay attention and be ahead of the curve because you could have gotten him last night for a cheap price. And especially if Godwin and Brown are out, I mean, he's in a good spot. That Washington defense is terrible. They've allowed the second most fantasy points to wide receivers. They've allowed over 1,500 yards to wide receivers this year, 11 touchdowns. Brady's coming off the bye and a loss. I think off the top of my head, I had this the other day. I think he's 51-14 in his career coming off a loss. So, yes, he's going to be a little depleted, but that offense can still go. So, yeah, Tyler Johnson would be a really good season-long pickup for if you're hurting. And also DFS, he's going to be cheap.
Yeah, for sure. Do you see Leonard Fournette maybe being a little bit more involved from a pass-catching perspective?
He could be, for sure. He's been pretty productive anyway, getting most of the volume. So, I mean, he's always he's a borderline RB1 most weeks now with the way they utilize him and the way that offense moves the football. And Mike Evans is just going to be in a great spot this week. He's going to get so many targets. I don't see this offense being slowed down, even with all those guys out. Like Brady has just continued to roll. The absence of Gronk hasn't done much. They've been without Antonio Brown. I mean, Godwin is a big loss if you take him away. But again, I love that they draft Tyler Johnson. I was kind of upset that he went to Tampa because I knew there wasn't a path immediately to targets. But he's in a spot this week where he'll get them, assuming Godwin's out.
And then we've got DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. It seems like Kyler Murray is trending towards playing a little bit of lack of clarity around DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona's favored by 10.5 over Carolina, so that would lead you to believe maybe Kyler plays. But again, if I'm them, I'm not pushing it. Like, you're 8-1, you're in a good spot. You won last week without him. You can't assume you're going to win this week. Dallas had a great victory over Minnesota with Cooper Rush and then failed to show up last week against Denver. So sometimes that emotional win, maybe you get too high, like, oh, we won without Kyler against San Francisco, we're good, and then you just come out flat. But at the same time, it is key because, that number one seed is very important this year. That's the only team that gets by with the expanded playoffs. So, I think Kyler Murray, you're just going to have to wait it out. I have him in the rankings for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he sits. And DeAndre Hopkins, I think he sits. I mean, he's got a hamstring injury. He's older. He aggravated it once already. You cannot push this guy. You need him for the playoffs. And Rondale Moore might not play. He's dealing with a concussion. Yeah. So they could be pretty shorthanded this week.
It's true. They've got AJ Green did get activated from the COVID IR. And then it would be Christian Kirk as well. And then Zach Ertz. I guess that makes Zach Ertz a little bit more viable of a play.
Yeah, assuming those guys are out. So, Arizona is a team that we have to pay attention to see who's in, who's out.
And then we've got some possible returnees this week. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Chris Carson is an interesting one as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if either returns. I know they activated the window for CH, and Eric Bieniemy was raving, saying he looked great, but I don't have him in the rankings now. Wait and see. Chris Carson's another one, too. They activated the window, but he's coming off a serious neck injury, so kind of wait and see on both of those guys right now.
Yeah. All right, guys, and just a reminder, we're going to be going into Discord in a little bit. I do see some people in there already. Thank you for logging in. We're going to be jumping in there very quickly after we do the game preview. Just as a reminder to submit your questions, your start sit questions, trade questions, anything, rest of season questions in the Fantasy Alarm Discord, DFS Alarm Discord as well. If you have any DFS questions under the live stream Q&A sections. And let's go ahead and jump into the game preview. So we've got the Ravens versus the Dolphins. On the surface, it doesn't seem like the most competitive matchup, but it probably isn't. But Miami surprisingly has a lot of, despite the fact that they have not been successful at all on the field, it's not like a Houston situation where we have very few usable assets. Miami does have a lot of usable assets from a fantasy perspective. So I guess I was thinking we could split this off between season long and then dive into DFS. So we could start off with Miami in terms of season long. Obviously, unfortunately, we got the news that Tua is not going to be starting. We have Colby Brissette. And, that does affect our pass catchers. We've got Jalen Waddle and we've got Mike Gesicki. Are you downgrading either of these guys? Does this lean you towards not starting either one?
No, I definitely think Gesicki has played well enough that you got to play him. Ravens have struggled against tight ends all year. They've played a lot of the top tight ends, but they're 22nd in DVOA against the tight ends. So, and second most fantasy points. So, no, Gesicki's in. I think you can play Waddle. Probably hurts him a little bit with Brissette, but you can play him. And Gaskin is basically based on volume. We saw last week he got a lot of volume. Wasn't good, but caught passes and scored. Ravens have struggled against the running backs catching passes out of the backfield. So I think that's what you're hoping to see from Gaskin tonight. Catch 4 or 5 passes, maybe find the end zone. So I'm not really downgrading much. I mean, those are pretty much the guys you're playing. I don't think you start Jacoby Brissett, even in a super flex league, unless you're desperate. So it's pretty much what we're used to playing with them. Yeah.
And then moving on to the Ravens. Again, obviously, we've got Lamar. We've got Mark Andrews. We've got Marquise Brown. But then beyond that, we've got the full spectrum of wide receivers now healthy now that Sammy Watkins is back. And I've got a lot of people that seem to be kind of concerned about Sammy Watkins and how this affects Rashad Bateman. How are you feeling in terms of comfort with Rashad Bateman? Do you see Sammy Watkins cutting into that at all? Are you comfortable rolling him out?
Not comfortable. I mean, if you have to, sure, but I do have him in a league or two. I'm not starting him. I know some people might have some injury situations, a little desperate, but the last 3 games, 20 targets. But Watkins might cut into it a little bit. I mean, Bateman's been good when he's been given the opportunity, and it's not like Sammy Watkins has been great, but if Watkins they're going to have him on the field a little bit, so could hurt him slightly.
Yeah. And then, it is Miami's defense. And we've got Latavius Murray that's going to be out. How are you feeling about Devonta Freeman?
Look, I mean, at this point, you're probably going to play him. He's looked the best of the running backs for sure. There's always a good chance for him to score a touchdown. So, I mean, Lamar Jackson runs a lot, takes away some of the carries, but, Freeman's getting the bulk of the touches. So he's like, low end RB2, high end RB3. So I think people have been reluctant. I even saw him available on the waiver wire still in a couple leagues this week. But at this point, look, he's producing. So yeah, you're probably going to play him.
Yeah, for sure. And then from a DFS perspective, how are you looking at setting this lineup tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not play Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's been great this year. He's coming home. He went to high school, Boynton Beach High School. So it's a short week, but he's running. He's passing well. He's averaging 75 yards rushing per game. He's averaging 276 passing yards per game, which is a big uptick compared to what we saw in recent seasons. And the books still haven't adjusted. Last night, it was 233 on DraftKings. I know it's risen a little bit. Might be up to 238 now. And he's running at a ridiculous rate, so you got to play him. Hollywood Brown seems to get disrespected. I don't know why. Like, he's just producing every single week. He gets open. It's a good matchup. So you want to get him in. I think on the Miami side, Gesicki is probably the guy you're looking at. And again, I think a real deep sleeper is Devin Duvernay. Miami really struggles out of the slot. Maybe he gets a touchdown. But yeah, I mean, you're playing mostly on the Baltimore side, but on Miami, Gesicki, Waddle would be an option, and maybe Gaskin.
Yeah. Interesting. Jacoby Myers is the exact same pricing as Mark Andrews on Yahoo.
Jacoby Brissette?
Yes, Jacoby Brissette.
Yeah, you said Jacoby Myers. He's not allowed to score a touchdown.
Wrong one. Yeah, you're right.
That's okay. We know. We figured that. I just wanted to confirm.
I guess I just don't want to say Jacoby Brissette because it feels so uncomfortable to actually put him into a starting lineup.
So what was his price on Yahoo?
$22, the exact same pricing as Mark Andrews. So technically speaking, you could work him in there as well with Lamar Jackson.
If you have a quarterback and he's that cheap, you probably have to play him because you don't need much from him. And I know it wasn't great against the Texans last week, but remember, Baltimore's coming off a short week. Baltimore played overtime too, and their defense is not what it once was. I actually think Miami keeps this game close tonight. I'm taking Miami plus 8.5. Baltimore is 0-4 against the spread when favored by 6.5 or more. They played 3 overtime games this year. They played a lot of close games. I know people look at this as a blowout, and I see most of the money on Baltimore. I think Miami could keep it close. Short week at home, primetime game, underdog. So I think Miami can keep it close. So that is true. You should look at Jacoby Brissett if he's cheap, right? Because, again, he doesn't need to do much. If he gets 200 yards and 1 passing touchdown, that might be good enough. And maybe they surprisingly play better and he gets 2 touchdowns and 250. So, yeah, at that price, sure, definitely you have to consider him.
For sure. All right, let's go ahead and jump into Discord. Guys, as a reminder, we are taking the questions live in Discord tonight. You can go into the DFS Alarm Discord or the Fantasy Alarm Discord, and we'll be asking them there. And let's start off with this question. All right, it is a long one, so I'm going to take a little bit of water to get us going. It is from Javon Sack. In 10-man PPR Superflex Dynasty League, we can only roster 2 quarterbacks. And if you guys only currently have 1 quarterback. I have Herbert and Tua right now, and Fields and Lawrence are out there. Would you drop Tua before the game tonight and pick up either one of those?
Yeah, I would do it for Fields at this point. This Tua thing is just, what is going on? He's good enough to be the backup tonight and last week, but he can't play. What happens if Brissette gets injured early? You're just going to have Tua come in and hand off the ball. So Tua's played well this year at times, and I think he gets the Jets next week. But I would take Fields. I mean, Fields has been a QB1 the last 2 games. He's running a little bit more. It looks like it's finally starting to come together. Now, Allen Robinson did suffer a hamstring injury at the end of the game on Monday night. So he's got 2 weeks to see if he can play. Don't know the extent of it. But Darnell Mooney has become a target for him. Cole Kmet has come on. So, yeah, I'm going to take Fields at this point. So, yeah, I would do it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you right there. I mean, oddly enough, Chicago is trending in the right direction. We've had 2 games where they've been very close, playing a lot better. They're finally letting Justin Fields be Justin Fields, it seems like. So yeah, I think, long term, that might be the better play here with a more reliable quarterback that we know is going to be on the field. All right, and then we've got the second question from that user. Can you flex Zeke this week? Let's see. Can we flex? Okay, if in this situation, would he flex Zeke this week with Fields on a bye?
Yeah, I mean, obviously. I mean, look, as long as Zeke did have a knee injury last week, but he did come in the game, finish it. Doesn't sound like he's going to miss the game. Atlanta's defense is one of the worst in the league. I expect Dallas to bounce back. Again, they did not show up last week from drop passes from Amari Cooper, Tony Pollard. I saw guys not even in on the tackle, walking towards the sideline. It was a pathetic effort that teams have from time to time. But yeah, I think Dallas bounces back, and Atlanta's defense is not good. So yeah, you can flex Zeke for sure.
Yeah. And then one more question from that user. Any reason to start Bateman over Waddle or Amari Cooper?
No, I can't, man. Amari Cooper gets a bigger target share. Again, I think the offense bounces back, and Waddle, again, bigger target share. And if you believe that Miami will be trailing and playing from behind, they'll pass a lot. They pass a lot anyway. They cannot run the football. They did a little bit more last week because they were playing the Texans and they were ahead. They still were not efficient on the ground. This is a team that has to rely on the pass. They cannot run the football.
Completely agree. And then question from Hans03, full PPR, would you drop Allen Robinson or Elijah Moore for Tyler Johnson?
I wouldn't want to do that unless I was desperate for someone this week. And Elijah Moore is coming on. I know Corey Davis could be back. It is a tougher matchup this week, but I mean, Tyler Johnson could only be a 1-week play. So I would rather not. If you really need someone this week, then I would look to drop someone else. I mean, there's a chance Tyler Johnson has more long-term value depending on how serious this Chris Godwin injury is and Antonio Brown, but I prefer not to drop those guys.
Yeah. And I'm assuming, you're trying to fill a hole with Allen Robinson on a bye week. You should probably just go ahead and go with Elijah Moore in that situation. Again, Corey Davis is coming back, but I do feel like the target share has been there for Elijah Moore. He's had a nice increased snap count as well. I don't see there being a massive change there. In that Jets wide receiver core, who do you feel is the odd man out here with Corey Davis coming back?
It could be a little less targets for Jamison Crowder. Again, I think they have to get Elijah Moore involved. We heard all preseason and training camp how good he looked. He was a little banged up, but we've seen him get open and his playmaking ability. And Mike White's going to start at quarterback this week and maybe more. Now, it is a tough matchup against the Bills. As poorly as the Bills have played the last 2 weeks, it's all on the offense. Their defense is still #1 in the NFL. They only allowed 3 field goals last week. They didn't allow a lot of yards to Jacksonville. And again, the Bills are another team that has got to show up this week. Like, this is a huge statement game for the Bills. If they struggle, we're going to question, is this team for real? Is it a fluke? They really need a big performance here after what we've seen from the offense the last 2 weeks. Even the game against Miami, they scored 26. They were abysmal on offense in the first half. Yeah. And they got a late rushing touchdown from Josh Allen to really put up those points. So they have struggled. I mean, it's similar to the Chiefs where teams are taking away that deep pass, and it's created struggles for this Buffalo offense. But it can't happen against the Jets, who allowed 45 points to the Colts last week. So this should be a bounce-back spot. So yeah, I mean, the Jets offense has looked better under Mike White, but this is a tough test for them because this Bills defense has been legit all season long.
Yeah, sticking on the same topic, just because I've seen this a ton today. A lot of people are concerned about Michael Carter. It's a tough matchup with that Buffalo defense, but at the same time, you just think, well, Mike White's coming back. Is he going to be dumping the ball off a lot to, those running backs? But at the same time, Buffalo, they're a smart defense. Are they going to be trying to stop that? So how comfortable are you with Michael Carter this week?
Yeah, he's still RB2 for me because we have seen with White at quarterback, he just really looks for those running backs quite a bit in the short passes. Now, it's still, like you said, the Bills might be like, all right, we're aware of this. We're going to try and take this away. Well, then we saw in the brief time that we saw White at quarterback, because that was one of my concerns against Indianapolis. He was going downfield. I mean, he found Elijah Moore wide open for a touchdown. So, again, tougher matchup here, but they are at home. So, no, I'm fine with Michael Carter as a RB2 this week.
Awesome. And then moving on to the next user, we've got Boat Owner, whose username I also love very much. We've got half PPR, Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts. I've seen a lot of Russell Wilson today as well.
Yeah, I'm leading Russell Wilson, man. If that guy's good to go and he said the finger's close to 100%, I'm going to play him. Jalen Hurts obviously has tailed off a little bit because they're running so much. Will that happen again this week? The line is 3, so it's expected to be a close game. I think part of it is they've wanted to keep the ball out of Hurts's hands for making mistakes, but he can still get it done on the ground. Because that's been a big difference. And Jalen Hurts, was pretty much automatic quarterback every week, but the last few weeks they've been competitive. They've had success running the football in competitive games. But I'm going to lean towards Russell Wilson right now. If he's good to go against Green Bay, I'm going to play him.
Yeah, for sure. And then, sticking with Jalen Hurts and, the interesting topic, we've got the running back situation there. I think we've all accepted that Kenneth Gainwell is just not going to be a thing in this situation. But are you comfortable with Jordan Howard? Are you believing in the fact that the Eagles believe in Jordan Howard?
Comfortable would not be the appropriate word, but warming up more than I have been in recent weeks, yes, because they keep giving him the football, and he's actually looked pretty good. I mean, I guess he's fresh since he didn't start the year, but definitely looks better than last year. But this backfield's kind of a headache. Would it be a surprise if Boston Scott had 15 touches this week and Howard has 10? No, but I think he's a RB3 at this point. I'm not like I have to start Jordan Howard, but there are people. He was probably still on waivers this week because people didn't believe. But he's obviously been scooped up in most leagues by now. So you ideally would not like to play him, but at this point, with buys and injuries, people are going to have to play him this week.
Yep, exactly. I've got Boston Scott in a few deep leagues, and I'm just sitting here painfully mulling over, trying to figure out if I'm actually going to have the courage to roll him out or if I go with a less risky option at receiver. So it's going to be very interesting because I do think that it's Jordan Howard moving forward. All right. Same user, half PPR, sit one, Bateman, Amari Cooper, Rondale Moore.
Well, Bateman plays tonight. If you cannot go out and replace someone, then you got to play Bateman because Rondale Moore is dealing with a concussion. So he might not play. So I'd prefer, if I were you, I would look to pick up a Tyler Johnson if you can and then play him over Bateman. But if you don't have that ability and you have to, if those are the only 3 you could choose from, you got to play Bateman tonight in case Rondale Moore doesn't play this week.
Yeah, completely agree. And then one more question from that user, full point PPR, have Patterson and Davis. Would you drop Davis to snag to Ernest Johnson? That's a very interesting question.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. If you need him this week, definitely. Look, sometimes you have to play for this week. Are you really going to sit here and say, I can't believe I dropped Mike Davis? He's done nothing, man. He's done nothing. I know his value increases a little bit because they've used Patterson at wide receiver a little bit more. But I think I had this discussion with you. I hated Mike Davis before the year. I thought he was completely overvalued. Obviously, I'm like, all right, there could be something there now. He has done nothing. 9 carries for 13 yards last week. And I know the Saints are a good run defense, but really, we're looking at a professional running back, 9 for 13. 9 for 44. I mean, they've just diminished his role in the offense. And the big argument for Mike Davis before the year was, oh, he's going to get the volume. Who else is there? That's not a good enough argument. There's always someone that could emerge. And yes, did I see Cordero Patterson doing this? No, no one did. No one did. I don't even think Patterson did. So it happened. But that's my point, is just when you see that, oh, no one else is there. I like this guy. It's not good enough. There's always someone that could emerge out of nowhere. We've seen it with Patterson. So, yeah, I'd cut Mike Davis for Dearness Johnson.
Yes.
Especially if you need a win. Especially if you need a win this week. If you're under 500 or we're week 10, so you can't be 500 unless you're a doubleheader league, maybe. But 5-4, 4-5, yeah, definitely go for this week. Mike, you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna sit here and be like, oh, I can't believe I cut Mike Davis. 3.2 yards a carry, 1 rushing touchdown. Yeah, cut him.
Yeah, and then interesting. The second part of that was that in addition to Darnell Johnson, Darrell Williams and Elijah Mitchell are on waivers.
Wait, so what? How's Elijah Mitchell on waivers?
I don't know. Maybe it's the Jeff Wilson panic that I don't know.
No, actually, I don't know if you saw this because I just saw it before the show. Hasty is likely not going to play, according to Kyle Shanahan. He said he's got an ankle issue. So Jeff Wilson could be the RB2 this week. Not that you feel great playing him, but Elijah Mitchell's got to be rostered. Like, why don't people believe in this guy by now? Like, he's the guy. It's clear.
Yeah, so, very odd.
I'd pick him up before Dearness Johnson, obviously. But that's a very weird league that those guys are available.
All right. Yeah. Very interesting. All right. And then we've got another question. We've got 2 wide receivers and 1 flex out of this grouping. Ayuk, Renfrow, Landry, Julio, Elijah. Okay, it's a big list. All right. Ayuk, Renfrow, Landry, Julio, Elijah Moore, Christian Kirk, AJ Dillon.
Okay. Kirk's going to depend on Hopkins being out. If he's out, I like him.
Yeah.
And I like Renfrow for sure against the Chiefs. So I think I go Renfrow, Kirk right now. I do like Ayuk too, though. He's been coming on the last couple weeks. He's more involved. But I would go Renfrow and Kirk right now.
How are you feeling about Julio Jones? It's kind of an interesting one where I see him pop up and it's like you don't really you want to believe in it, but unfortunately we just haven't seen anything out of him.
Yeah, I was completely out on him before the year, and obviously it's turned out to be a wise decision. Yeah. He has not scored a touchdown this year. He's had 1 big game, and he was back on the injury report again today with this hamstring. So he's never been 100%. So if you have him, you're holding on. You're hoping, okay, they become more of a pass team. See, I think Tennessee last week, we learned absolutely nothing because they had 190 total yards against the Rams. That was a game the Rams gave away. Stafford threw the interception in the end zone, the ill-advised pass that set up a short touchdown, a pick 6. It was 14-3 in the blink of an eye, and Tennessee just sat on the ball. They didn't have a successful run game. Peterson had a touchdown late. So I don't think we learned anything about Tennessee's offense last week. I know they want to run the football, but I still don't know if they can, and they have a tough matchup against the Saints this week. So Julio could be good if he's healthy, but with those options, I'm not playing him.
Yeah. And then the second part of that question was, would Brandon Bolden be a play over any of so over that list?
No.
Would you be playing Brandon? Got it.
No.
Yeah. That was very quick. Yeah, that frustrating. Even with Harris and Stevenson out, it's just so frustrating trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen with that running back position. For all we know, it could be J.J. Taylor that gets the bulk of the carries. All right, and then moving on to another question. All right, let's see. We have quarterback, Lamar or Dak?
Lamar. I'm a Cowboys fan. It's Lamar Jackson. I mean, every week he gets it done. I mean, the carries too. Like, he is basically the run game. So, no doubt. I mean, Lamar Jackson, I think I have him ranked number 1 this week. I should. Or 2. Maybe Josh Allen's 1. But, yeah, you're playing Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And then we got a deep league question. 16-team PPR. 20 roster spots. Let's see. It is a trade question. So I'm going to read off the roster. Darrell Williams, Michael Carter as the starting running backs. Wide receivers are Mike Evans, Mike Williams, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, Jarvis Landry. And then they've been offered Josh Jacobs for Hopkins or Diggs.
I mean, I would rather they need a running back, clearly, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I would prefer to get a better running back. If I were to do it, it would be for Hopkins, only because he's dealing with a hamstring injury. I think he's older than Diggs, right? He has to be.
He is. Yeah,
Hopkins by Diggs is 27, I think, right?
Yeah. Hopkins is, I think, 29, maybe.
Okay, Diggs is 27. Hopkins is 29.
Yep.
He feels older. I don't know why. So I'd rather have Diggs. I'd try and get a different trade. I like Jacobs. He's okay. I know he's been more involved in the passing game, but not really enamored by that. I would try and do a different deal. But if you've tried and that's the best you can do, I'd rather give Hopkins up than Diggs.
Yeah, I mean, I do like. I am in on trading for Josh Jacobs because I do think that rest of season, the Raiders' schedule is looking good, and on top of that, he's getting more involved in the pass games. He's had 3 to 5 targets over the last several games, so I mean that's a big change, a big value add for him. But I agree. For Hopkins, I would try to add a little more. For reference, I only know the age of those two players because I was trying to decide if I was trading for DeAndre Hopkins literally this week, and I opted not to.
Yeah, I mean, I knew Diggs offhand was 27. I don't know why I felt Hopkins was a little bit older, but yeah, 29. So, but yeah. He has not had a great year. He has been boosted by touchdowns. He has 7 touchdowns. He has no 100-yard games this year. He does not have a game of double-digit targets. I know Diggs has been disappointing too, but Hopkins is just, I know the touchdowns count, but you never want to rely on that. It's just they're spreading the ball around, and again, he's dealing with injury right now too. Hamstring injuries are tricky. I know they keep saying, yeah, it's not that bad. We don't know that. I mean, this could be something that keeps him out several more weeks.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And, just, on the topic of aging wide receivers, for a little curiosity question in terms of strategy while we're on the topic, when you're looking at dynasty leagues and you're looking to trade for wide receivers and trade away wide receivers, do you have an age cutoff where you start to, wonder is this the tipping point right here for a receiver?
Yeah, right around 29, 30. I mean, especially with the bigger wide receivers. I think I mentioned it last year or 2 years ago with Julio Jones. I said, look, I don't know when it's going to come, but he's going to fall off quick. It's not a gradual decline with wide receivers. It happens like that. Go look at Andre Johnson, right? He was good, and then all of a sudden, I think right around 31, 32, that's it. We're seeing it with Julio now. It started last year. He played 9 games, and now he's 32. It already started. So you want to get off early. Yeah, you might get burned, and a guy has one big year. Get out early. You don't want to be left holding the bag right now like with Julio Jones, right? Feels like garbage. You're like, damn, man, I got Julio, and you can't get nothing for him, and you're just praying that he gets back to health. So, yeah, I'd rather get out earlier.
Yeah, completely agree. All right, and then let's go to NFL. Okay, all right, we've got Gaskin. Start Gaskin tonight or Darrell Williams. Okay, because you don't know for sure if Darrell Williams will be the starting receiver or the starting running back. Are you going with Gaskin?
Oh, boy. I have a feeling that CH does not play this week. So I would go Williams myself, but I understand there's some slight risk. So if you don't want to take the risk, you can go Gaskin. I would wait on Williams. Yeah.
I'm a little bit risk averse. I probably would just go ahead and go Gaskin, but that's just me. Question, has Damian Harris or Stevenson been ruled out yet? No, they have not been ruled out yet. So it's something that you're going to have to monitor. I think, Adam, you were saying that if anything, it looks like Stevenson might be the one that may be able to, but we really don't know and have a lot of details on that right now.
Yeah, I forgot where I saw it, but I saw something earlier today. But Again, concussions are tricky. They both could have issues tomorrow. So,
yeah, so just kind of monitor that one and stay on it right up until game day. All right, and then we've got Dawson Knox. With Dawson Knox active, were we going Knox or Dan Arnold this week? I have seen this a few places today, half PPR.
I have the same exact dilemma in one of my leagues. So, right now I have Arnold in. That could change. It sounds like Knox is going to play. I think Arnold is in line for more targets. Knox obviously has the better chance to score a touchdown. So right now I lean Arnold, but I have not put that in permanent pen just yet. It's in pencil right now. Very close for me. I could see me switching to Knox if he's healthy and everything. I'm not saying this is the reason, but you notice that offense has not been as good without Dawson Knox. And I'm not saying he's the reason. It could be a coincidence. I'm just saying. Also, here's something of note from Jeff Zerbeck, who covers the Ravens for The Athletic. The starting wide receivers in warmups, Hollywood Brown and Sammy Watkins.
Oh.
It doesn't mean anything because that he could start the game and then they take him out and put in Bateman. Yeah. Just pointing that out there for people. That is it. Doesn't mean much.
Yeah. Also, be aware, especially with the type of injury that Sammy had, there's always a chance that he gets in there and re-injures it. We've seen it 1,000 times, not just with Sammy to pick on him, but with receivers in general. So yeah, just kind of monitor that one. Don't be afraid of Bateman if you have to go that direction. All right, and then we have, I like this. Are we believing in Jakobi Meyers that he will get his birthday touchdown this week?
Oh, his birthday is this week?
I was not aware, but I'm going to trust this. I'm going to trust this user right here.
Yeah, I know people love narratives. Until I see it. His birthday is November 9th. Does it count? Because that was Tuesday. Shouldn't that have been last week? Tuesday was closer to the Sunday last week, right? Are you agree with me?
Yes, I agree with you on that one.
So it didn't happen. So it's done, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, sorry it didn't happen. It's not happening. I mean, what if he's got to score, right? Yeah, he had one catch for 8 yards last week. So maybe he was maybe he celebrated his birthday a little too much.
A little too early. Yeah. Especially I'm out on Jakobi Meyers, unfortunately. I have him in a 16-team PPR league, and even in that league, I'm just kind of I can't. I have so little. I have better options.
I have him in one league, and I am not playing him this week.
User replied, he did have a 2-point conversion. That's as close as he's getting, those 2-point conversion opportunities.
I did tweet that. I'm like, Colby Meyers is in the end zone, ... for a 2-point conversion.
Very funny. I kind of want him to not, since I'm out at this point, I kind of want him to just, just go the whole season and not get a touchdown.
Or just see how wait. Just wait until you're desperate when you have to play him, and you hope that's the week he has 3 touchdowns.
Exactly.
That's what's going to happen. He's not going to score 1. He's going to score 3 in one game. That's what, just all the pass, stress, and relief, just one game, boom, 3 touchdowns.
And Kendrick Bourne will throw it to him. That would be be beautiful.
Good point. He will.
All right. Then rest of season. Which 2 would you prefer to roster? Dawson Knox, Dan Arnold, Logan Thomas, half PPR.
Oh, that's a tough call. I want to say Logan Thomas, but it looks like he's not going to play this week. The thing with Thomas, he's going to play so many snaps. Man, that is a tough one. You know what? I got to go with Arnold and Knox because Arnold is just getting a lot of targets. The touchdowns might not be there, so he's better in PPR. They're throwing so many short passes to Agnew and Arnold. Knox doesn't get the huge volume, but they do look for him in the red zone. So I might change my mind next week. This is why the rest of the season is so tough because it's really week to week. Yeah. So I'll go with Knox and Arnold right now. But, if Thomas comes back and has 8 targets that looks good, you're going to pivot to him because they don't have a lot of competition in that offense. And if they play Thomas like they did Ricky Seals-Jones, he's going to be on the field 85, 90% of the time. That's a big deal.
Exactly. It's so hard. Because I love Logan Thomas. I want to say Logan Thomas. I've been waiting for Logan Thomas to return in the one league that I roster him. But it's hard to sit there and pick between the touchdown upside of Dawson Knox and the target upside of Dan Arnold.
Yeah, and I have to make that decision this week. And like I said, I still am not sure. I mean, again, that's why like the game's not till Sunday, so I don't stress it. You know, what I do is I go through all my lineups and I'm like, who's playing Thursday, decide they're in or out, and then I just put it away. And I know I got, you know, injury reports on Friday, reports, and I don't stress it. And I understand everyone wants to get this right. Trust me, I'm as competitive as they come. I hate to lose, but there's no need in sitting there and go, oh, who am I starting when everything's on Sunday? We got time. You know, just worry about the players in tonight's game and then just absorb the information, injury reports in the next couple of days and make those decisions, you know, preliminary Saturday night and then update it Sunday morning based on the news.
Yes. And you can always come back here to the Fantasy Alarm live on Sunday. I won't be here, but Adam, you do the Sunday show, correct?
I don't, no.
Oh, you don't?
It's usually Howard Bender and John and Pemba.
Two fantastic guys too. So again, come back and make sure you get your start sit questions on Sunday as well. We'll try and get one more in here. I see a question. Am I starting Godwin and Adams at wide receiver? Am I starting Godwin and Adams at wide receiver and then Eckler and Patterson at flex? And then the other options are Pittman, Mitchell, and Hollywood Brown. Well, yeah.
That is such a shallow league. Okay, well, first of all, we don't know if Godwin's going to play. So you got to have a backup plan. So basically, all right, so Adams is – so wait, they can start 4 of that group?
I think that's what that's looking for. So, you can't start Godwin at wide receiver. So you're going to have to go Adams and then put in Pittman or Hollywood Brown. So you would put in Hollywood Brown right now because he's playing tonight at wide receiver.
Well, yeah, but didn't he say he also has Pittman, Eckler, and Patterson?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How many total can they start?
I just see 1 flex.
Okay. Yeah, that's because you got to play Eckler, right? You got to play Adams.
Yeah.
I think you have to play Patterson at this point too.
Yeah.
He's the guy. So too. Cowboys defense hasn't been good, so I don't think I'd play Brown because I'd play Pittman or Godwin. If Godwin goes, if not, I'd play Pittman. Again, I love Hollywood, but you know you need to allow yourself some flexibility there. Again, I have Hollywood Brown ranked very high, but I do have Pittman 1 spot over him.
That's a tough one.
If we're getting that right, it made it seem like they could only start 3 or 4 of those.
Yeah. I'm guessing there's more flex in there, but
I mean, it's not clear, but I do love Hollywood tonight. So if you have 4 or 5 spots, you play him, especially since we don't know the status of Godwin, and it's sounding like he's not playing.
Yeah. And then we've got another question. We've got half PPR flex, Javonte or Cortland Sutton, or if CEH is active. Just need 1.
If I hear CH is active and there's no limitation, I would go with him. If not, I'm going Javonte. We've seen Sutton's target share go way down since Jerry Jeudy came back. It hasn't been good, so I would play Javonte. I know it's still a split. It's frustrating, but, you know, he's looked good. And I did even see some comments, I think, from a head coach today that they expect a big second half from him. I mean, I know we've been waiting all year. He's looked good when he's touched the football, so I would go with him over Sutton.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple places, the question of Javonte or Sutton as well. But I've also seen, curious, Sutton or Jeudy for you.
Jeudy. Yeah, I mean, they talked last week about how they were trying to get him the ball more on short passes and screens. Yeah. He's looked good. Yeah, Jerry Judy's the guy.
Agree. I think that's where I would lean as well. And then one more question. We'll wrap it up here. Full point PPR. Need to cook one. Oven cooked turkey or deep fried turkey for Thanksgiving?
I don't cook, so whatever someone does, I'll eat it. I'm not gonna be picky if I ain't cooking it, right? Are you cooking Thanksgiving?
I have no idea. I have not decided on my Thanksgiving location plans, which would seem kind of crazy because I would have to like book a ticket within like the next week or so. But yeah, I'm a deep fried turkey kind of girl. I'm from South Carolina originally, so Southern deep fried turkey. That is what I look forward to every single year. So
As long
hopefully
as I
that's
have
what I
mac and
pick.
cheese, I'm good.
Yes. That and stuffing. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. We can't get me started talking about Thanksgiving food because Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I love it more
2
than
weeks away.
Christmas.
2 weeks
Yes.
away.
So excited. So excited. All right, guys. Awesome. Thank you for all of the questions. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. We made it through, and I didn't cough too much. So hopefully you guys were able to bear with me. Hopefully better next week. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap things up. We're going to go ahead and go in and enjoy this game between Baltimore and Miami. Hopefully it is very productive from a fantasy perspective for everyone that you are starting. Good luck with your lineups, everyone. I am Tera Roberts here with Adam Ronis. Thank you so much for watching, and come back next week for another Thursday night pregame show preview. Thank you, everyone.